Mm. Hello, folks. We're trying something new. Oh, no, we're not. Okay. We're trying something new here, so bear with me. All right, that was our musical intro. I hope you guys liked it. Hope it worked. Did it work? Did everybody hear music? Jam music? I know you don't think of John Mayer, think of jams, but that is a jam. What are we talking about already? We're already talking about stuff. We got Menagerie, Tenny's in. Who else have we got? Frank the Tank, Aunt Sandy's here. Beetle Guy was here like immediately. Russ from Aquarimax is watching. Justin. Let's see who else. I think that's it. I think I got everybody for now. Tonight we are going to talk to, that's all the intros. We're going to talk to Russ Wilson again, but this time about aquatic beetles. So we all know he has a community tank of desert beetles, and it just occurred to me that this is about a community tank of aquatic beetles. So the exact opposite. So without further ado, let's bring Russ in. Russ, good evening.
Hey. I am glad to be back.
We're glad to have you back, as usual. All right, there we go. Now we have the beetles on the big screen. So these guys are super interesting. Oh, we got Biggs in here today. We got Biggs in here. There was no music. It was just me sitting there quietly. Okay, well, that sucks. We thought it worked.
The music in the in the green room. I heard the music just fine. The first time you played it, but it didn't work the second time for whatever reason.
That's awful. Okay, well, either way, we'll figure it out for next time. All right, so what are we looking at? We're looking at this. How big is this tank for first off?
This is a 20-gallon high. Let me pull back so you can see it a little better.
So you've got some depth on here.
Yeah, I'm experimenting with I have a different tripod than the one I usually use. So it should help me stabilize, but it's a little bit funky. Okay, now you're seeing most of the tank. 20-gallon high.
Okay. And some good open space, a lot of movement. I don't know if you guys have to be seeing all of that because you're watching it full screen. But that is a lot of activity in this tank.
Yeah.
This has to be one. You tell me you have this like centrally located where you can see it really well.
Yeah, it's in. I've got it in my critter room, but it's in a good spot where you walk right into the critter room. It's right there in front of you.
I hope you guys can all see how much I have to move my head to see my own screen because my camera's right here. So, but yeah, we've been watching this for a good 10 minutes here. And, oh yeah, they even have surface guys.
Yep,
now you said you gave them fruit flies ahead of time, right?
I'm going to.
You're going to.
I have the fruit flies sitting here so we can watch them eat it.
Exciting. Who wants to see them eat, guys? Red Lily. Oh, Red Lily Dragon's here, too. All right, there's a new face. Or newish with a great picture. All right, release the hounds.
Release the hounds. I love it. Yeah.
What was the line? Release hell? Was that it? It doesn't look like there's a lot of water movement in here.
There isn't a lot. I've got this little... the air pump releasing just a small trickle of bubbles over here on the right side. And then on the left side of the tank, I've got this filter running with the little waterfall weir.
Oh, like the turtle tank filter kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, so I can adjust the height and whatnot according to the water level. And that's all I've got in here for water movement. So it's not huge. There is constantly some water movement, but it's not a lot.
Just enough to keep it moving.
Yeah.
Love it. All right. Guys, I think we're going to feed these guys some... Russ says the feeding of these guys is the best. Now, what is this guy zipping around the top? Like, he looks like he's bulldozing through that frog bit.
Yeah. This is a Dinutus beetle. The common name is giant whirligig beetle.
Okay.
Normal whirligig beetles that people are often familiar with are, pretty small, about the size of, what would you say? They're pretty small, like maybe 3/8 of an inch long or something.
Like a grain of rice. I think they're like a grain of rice, basically.
Yeah, maybe like a fatter grain of rice. These are the size of a pumpkin seed approximately.
Okay.
So much, much larger. They're also predatory in the same way. They also have the divided eyes. So they have eyes that can see above the surface of water and eyes that are adapted to see below the surface of water. Not divided eyes, but they have two different pairs of eyes on their face like that work that way.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a great adaptation.
Yeah, fantastic. So what I'm going to try to do now, it might be a little wobbly for a second.
Okay.
But I'm going to get the fruit flies going here.
If you get seasick, close your eyes. I'll let you know when it's safe. We've got Shades and Peter joined us, and it's got someone else, Crazy Bugs and Pods.
Okay,
I'm Kimberly Kitty.
Okay, we ready to try this?
I mean, yeah.
Here we go. Okay, I'm going to see if I can make this work on camera. It can be tricky, but
there they go. There they go.
Yeah, they will munch them up. They've both grabbed at least one, and they swallow them so fast. They chew them up so fast. It's amazing.
Look at the speed. Are they fighting over it?
Yeah, they'll fight over them. Sometimes they'll grab other ones. And then the other beetles will sometimes come up to see if they can get a bite.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah. They have raptorial forelegs, kind of like a tailless whip scorpion, rather than a mantis. They're oriented perpendicular to what a mantis would have, so like a tailless whip scorpion. They have those. They're very developed, and they use them to grab the prey. They feel the vibrations of the prey on the water, go for it and grab it. I will drop moths in here because I get those pestiferous pyralis moths in my ice pod enclosures.
Sure,
sure. I'll throw one in here on the surface of the water, and they'll chew that thing up and so fast. Dude, that moth doesn't know what hits it.
Look at them go. It is just chaos. Oh, did you added more? Okay.
Yep, just added another scoop.
They are ravenous. So they have smaller versions of the arms of the giant one, right? The toe biter. Is that what they call it?
Very similar. Their arms look very similar. Yeah. They're not closely related at all, but they do have very similar structures as far as their arms go.
Okay. That makes more sense. That is so cool. I'm getting, this camera's fantastic that you have here. So your Patreons are supplying some stuff for you.
But what I've got here, this is my iPhone 8 Plus.
Oh, never mind. All right, iPhone.
But it's working.
Everyone in the world wants me to get an iPhone right now, and I just won't. So just for the camera. So I don't want to change my whole life to have an iPhone. You probably don't have to. I'm being a little dramatic about it, but I can't stop watching this. I don't know if you guys are as mesmerized as I am, but this is pretty fascinating. Oh, Coral's here too.
I see it all the time, and I'm mesmerized.
So we're just going to sit here for the next hour and just, if everybody's okay with that, we're just going to sit here and talk about it. And Jedi has the same phone as you, apparently, so that's good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's kind of an older phone, but I can't even zoom with it right now because StreamYard doesn't let me zoom. If I could zoom, I could do some serious close-ups. But
yeah, it's almost like macro.
Yeah, the macro is really nice on this phone, but at least you can get an idea. It's coming in fairly clearly, it looks like.
That's awesome. All right, I have a couple questions. These are preset questions, you guys. We're growing up with the show. We've got almost 400 viewers, 397 or subs, I think, 397. And Russ is always good to get me 3 more every time he comes on. So we've had him on 160 times so far. So we're that close. This should put us over the top. So Russ, with these aquatic beetles, so what species are we looking at in here? So you've got the one that has the spots. Could we go, or no, they're all at the surface. I was going to ask if we could go down to the bottom, but they're all.
There's a whole bunch up at the surface now. They're trying to get to those fruit flies, finishing those off.
Yeah, you guys can see the ones with the spots. So what is that one?
That one is called the sunburst diving beetle.
Okay, good name. Good name.
We all know.
We all know how I feel about names.
Saw that one in Bugs in Cyberspace on his channel a few months ago. I don't know when it was exactly. And I fell in love with those immediately. They're just gorgeous.
I mean, they're super cool.
They're Armadillidium gestroi in beetle form.
I need to get some now. You sold me. So you got me. I don't know what I would put them with, but you've got me.
Yeah.
Look at, there's a bunch of them. Oh my gosh. I thought there was like 2. I just saw 4 on the screen at once.
Yeah. I'm not even sure how many of those I have. There's some other beetles from the genus Thermonectus. That's, if I'm not wrong, that's the genus that the sunburst diving beetle is from, Thermonectus, I believe. I think it's Thermonectus marmoratus, but I'm still learning the names of all these beetles because although I've loved aquatic critters for a long time, this is my first really dedicated aquatic beetle and other aquatic bug tank that doesn't have a whole lot else except for, cleanup crew.
I love it.
So I'm still learning. This is the genus Dinutus. I think I already explained that one.
That's the giant, the whirligig.
Giant whirligigs. Several other thermonectids. There are a few other genera in here. All these critters, with the exception of the ram's horn snails, which I've already, I already had, and there's a bunch of amphipods or scuds in here too, mostly down in the substrate, but you see them zipping around here and there. And then another species of dwarf ram's horn snail that's in here too. I think I can see one on the piece of wood, but I don't know if it's showing up. That doesn't get, more than about 1/4 of an inch. Those are the only species of animal in here that I already had. The rest of them come from bugs in cyberspace.
Wow. Okay. Pete has so much cool stuff when it's in stock.
Yeah. Peter and Jessie have so many cool things going on over there. And if you want to get into these bugs, that's the place to go. Seriously. Awesome.
You guys heard it here first. I'll put the link in the down there part. Okay, so we saw the brown one. I don't know if you guys saw that brown one that looks kind of roachish. The one that's just flat brown. Like, what is that one then?
Is that one?
That guy. Yeah.
This guy. Yeah. I would have to check and see. Hold on. Do I have my... I can check on that one and see what that one is. I think I can find that.
It's not that big a deal. And the black one is...
And I think that's another thermonectid, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm still, like I said, still learning it. Right now, too, this tank doesn't have everything that it came with. Okay. Because when I got my setup, Peter and Jessie both worked on it, I believe, and they sent me some back swimmers, little back swimmers in here too, and a couple of water boatmen, and the back swimmers, I had the filter. It was a little too strong, unfortunately, and I didn't know. I hadn't really worked with them yet, and so the filter sucked them up overnight. And I was devastated. I was devastated by that. Renatris, is that it? Shapes in Nature. Yeah. That's Jessie from Cyberspace and Shapes in Nature. And so he knows this. This is good to have him here. He said he might join in. I'm glad he did. Thank you, Jessie, for coming in. So he's got the names. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, Jessie, if you're interested, I've been trying to get you or Pete on the show for like 2 years. So just reach out, just say something if you're interested at all. But yeah, so that was a thought too. I just can't get over the activity in this tank. And you're saying this is just nonstop.
What is this one here, Jessie? What's this one?
The little brown guy. Let me get your I'm surprised Beetle Guy doesn't know. Come on, Beetle Guy. Get your beetle chops out here. Here we go.
Different black species.
Rantis gluteus maximus.
Gluteus are the smaller gold ones. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Sorry, the banded diving beetle. All right. These are good common names. These are classic common names that have been around for years and years, and I can't bastardize them. So I'll take it. I've been trying to change and offer names to people that have new morphs in isopod land. So, but that's neither here nor there or over there. So now, okay, so you said your tank, you've got probably 30 beetles in here?
Oh, at least. I think when I counted it, when I got the package that Peter and Jessie sent, it was something like 60 insects were in it. And then, like I said, I lost the little back swimmers. And I don't know if the water boatmen are in here. I haven't seen them for a while. And I think I lost a couple of the whirligigs. I still have most of them. But I think I started with 7, and I don't think there's 7 in here anymore.
I mean, I don't know how you would know. Yeah.
That's one of the things that, it's just they're adult insects, and you don't know. Things pass away and whatnot. I'm going to drop a piece of food in here, a pellet. We're going to see what happens.
I can't wait. They're going to lose their mind. There we go.
Look how fast that was. He was right on that pellet.
It didn't even stop moving.
No, that was just instant. I didn't think it was going to be that fast. But now they're going to fight over it.
Yep.
Woo, it's going to take off.
That's kind of what I thought would happen, is they would just, beetles are so strong. I thought he would just take off with it. That's really funny. Are these just shrimp pellets?
These are sinking cichlid pellets.
Okay.
And I'm going to, and you can use shrimp pellets too. I just put another one in. I'm gonna hope that sunburst diving beetle gets it.
I'm gonna take a guess on this, guys. I didn't look into this ahead of time, but I'm gonna guess those are Hikari pellets.
Ah, good question. I mean, good guess. These are actually Omega 1.
Ooh, even better. All right, my bad. No disrespect to Omega 1. So we got this as a 20 high. Now what? And we got the water movement question, which I think I must have had that in my head. What is the temperature going on this? Do you need a heater, or is this just room temp?
This is just room temps, and I've kept it room temps. I got this tank set up in the, basically the winter or very early spring. I guess it was technically winter. And so my room temps were cooler then, and it was fine.
Okay.
So it was running, 68, 70 most of the time. Now it's in the mid 70s without heating.
Okay.
Because it's so much warmer now. Here they go. We got some more beetles going after it.
Look at them go. Is this a new pellet, or is this the same one?
That was a new pellet. Yeah, I just dropped in a new pellet. Now 2 beetles are fighting over it here at the surface.
It's like a tug of war.
Yeah.
Just watching them get upset with each other is so funny.
I should probably put them on. These beetles are smelling the remnants of it and getting frustrated that it's not there. So I'm going to drop another one in there.
I have to stop having you on the show every time I want whatever was on the show. So,
when you bring that up, I got to tell you, I was chatting with both Peter and Jessie today about this show and so on, and some other things. Anyway, Peter said that if you want, he'll send you a little starter kit of some of these critters.
Oh my
I'll just
God.
take them through it.
All right, I'll have to reach out because this. Now I need to set up another tank. Thanks, Russ. No. Next episode, we're going to have a whole remodel here, you guys. So I'm going to show that off. This whole area is going to get redone. So I'm real excited.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, just to put it into perspective, you don't have to necessarily go big to do a tank with some aquatic critters in it. You can do a much smaller tank and just have fewer critters. And depending on the size of the tank, you can decide which critters fit it best and things like that. For example, look, they're just fighting over that piece. Where'd they go? They're just making a mess. I don't want to. I get too much glare. You can't tell what's going on. But
I mean, you see all the water movement. It's really funny.
Yeah.
I haven't established. My scud tank is an established 5-gallon. I think I could probably just throw them in with that. It's got some plants.
You could do that, and you might lose some of the scuds. I'm not going to say they're totally going to destroy all your scuds, but you might lose some of them because some of these will. Well, everybody's an opportunistic feeder, basically, as I heard Jessie say recently. It's a good way to put it. They're opportunistic feeders, so they will eat things like scuds. I have a ton of scuds in here, and they're breeding, and they're not, they're not in any danger of extinction or anything. Sure. But they do eat them, some of them. And it also depends on what species you put together. Like these Dinutus here are opportunistic, but they eat almost exclusively at the surface. Okay. So anything that is at the surface is fair game. But because most of this stuff is not going to be at the surface all that much, it's pretty safe. But if you were to put like water striders in here with them, or the smaller Gyrinus whirligig beetles, you would not have any of those others very soon. They would munch them.
That is awesome. I can't believe they bring it to the surface to eat it. Like that seems like there'd be more competition, but that is a ball of beetles.
Yeah, beetle ball, definitely. And when I put a live cricket in here, I thought maybe the Dinutus beetles, the surface feeders, would go after it. And they did, nibble at it a little bit, but it was the beetles from underneath that came and drug it down. They went after that cricket. It was crazy.
That's so savage. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal. I did not expect that, but that's what happened.
That is super cool. I wonder if they would eat ants.
The
Now,
Dinutus beetles would. I'm pretty
okay,
sure.
awesome, because I definitely have extras. Uh, Sheila's got so much brood right now; she's ready for the big tank.
Oh, there
Um,
you go.
Now, how often are you feeding them? This is a feeding that may have been saved a little bit, but how often are you feeding them on the regular? A couple times a week?
Yeah, 2 or 3 times a week. But well, I feed the Dinutus beetles a lot because their metabolisms are through the roof. They're little speedboats.
Okay.
So I feed them every other day or so, sometimes more often, but at least every other day because I think they would start getting pretty interested in eating just about anything if I didn't. So yeah, I feed them the fruit flies or other flying insects every other day or so. But the other beetles, I feed them the fish food pellets every 2 days, every 3 days, something like that. Sometimes
Okay.
I'll throw Daphnia, a few hundred Daphnia in here, and the
Oh,
next day
wow.
they're gone. Because I have my little backup jar of Daphnia. It's a gallon jar, and
Yeah.
it produces hundreds of Daphnia. And so every week or so, I need to empty half the water out, and so I just dump it in here with all the Daphnia that dump out, and they munch them.
Genius. Genius. I love how the live feeders get to be used so easily and so quickly.
And I know another food that Peter and Jessie use a lot with the aquatic critters is frozen bloodworms.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. I would imagine
Yeah.
they would eat just about anything frozen if they're eating pellets.
Yeah, yeah. You could throw in mysis shrimp or whatever in here too. Yeah, you have options.
That'd be great. My crazy amounts of mosquito larvae that I get around here.
Oh yeah, I
So
think they would go after that too. Yeah.
they get fed to just about everything in my basement. Because they're, why not feed them this stuff?
Right.
This is just, I'm like mesmerized. This is so cool. Now upkeep on these guys. You've got, this is, you said it's like a fluorite gravel or just regular aquarium gravel?
This is just regular aquarium gravel. Yeah. And I think I may have, no, I don't think I mentioned on the stream. Some of these plants are fake, some are live. The Vallisneria is fake stuff. Back here, this Anubias is live.
Okay.
It's growing here. And then all of this water lettuce, dwarf water lettuce, is live.
That's what it is. Okay.
Yeah. The dwarf water lettuce is an awesome plant for this kind of stuff because the roots provide hiding places. And Jesse posted about this on his Instagram the other day because I sent him some water lettuce and it's doing really well in his tank. It looks awesome there. It's getting spread around, and which is fantastic. It grows really fast, so it's a nutrient sponge.
Okay.
So in the past week, I've thinned this out probably 2 to 3 times.
Oh my God.
It grows like lightning, but it's good because it's pulling a bunch of waste out of the water column, and it's competing for out competing algae, doing things like that.
Yeah.
Provides hiding places. You saw the beetle that was sunning itself or basking or drying itself off, whatever it was doing, was sitting on top of the leaves. They'll do that. And the scuds eat it a little bit, but not enough to cause a big problem. I actually have to fertilize it. I use like an all-in-one aquarium fertilizer a couple times a week because if I don't, it grows so fast, it pulls all the nutrients out and it starts going yellow.
Oh my God. So you have to, it starts to outcompete itself.
Yeah, it starts to outcompete itself. It just drains the tank of the nitrogenous waste and stuff, which is great. But at the same time, you have to make sure you don't starve it. So that's what I do. I fertilize twice a week and it does just fine like that.
That is too funny.
And depending on how much light you give it, you can regulate its size somewhat. All of these are fairly small in here. I have other tanks with higher light situations. I have some in my goldfish tank. My goldfish can't even keep up with eating this stuff. It grows so fast. And it gets huge in the goldfish tank. And in my Endler tank, it gets pretty big too. So this is a great versatile plant that I do recommend for aquatic bug tanks.
I will, off topic, give you another use for these floating aquatic plants that explode in growth. If you put them into your isopod bins, they kind of go crazy for them.
Oh yeah,
So,
I haven't tried water lettuce because it has a kind of a, I don't know what kind of chemical it is, but humans can actually eat it if they cook it, but if they don't, it kind of burns your mouth.
Oh wow.
And so I don't know. The isopods probably don't care because they'll eat all kinds of things. But I haven't tried it. But I should try it maybe and see what they think. Because a lot of the aquatic plants, definitely go after. Definitely seen that.
Yeah, I just do, what do I have? Duckweed. I just do duckweed. So I don't have the water lettuce.
yeah.
I haven't tried it. I don't know that maybe I won't recommend it now. It has Giglona in it, so I'll leave that alone.
But the duckweed's full of protein, great stuff for feeding to things.
Yeah, it doesn't last at all. Like within an hour, it's gone.
Oh yeah.
There's not even a thing left. There's not even like a pile of pods left. It's just gone.
Well, it's extremely nutritious, so that's good stuff.
That's funny. Look at them go. Now they've got enough, clearly. And I love that the snails will just take care of the rest.
Yeah.
So whatever doesn't get plowed through.
Yep. I notice it, a few hours after feeding that whatever scraps didn't get taken, the snails are all over it. And the scuds get it too.
Yeah, you can see them zipping through. I don't know if you guys can see the scuds. I'm kind of fascinated by these little tiny commas zipping through the screen.
I hope we get to see some of the little beetles too. There's a whole bunch of really small beetles in here, and I saw one. Was it yesterday or something? I know they're in here. There's some in here, but I haven't seen any today. They're a little bit harder to see just because they're small. One thing I should mention. A tip I got from Jessie, he said that that's Shapes in Nature, the one who's been telling us the beetle names and so on. He's both with Bugs in Cyberspace, and he has his own Shapes in Nature, so both. Okay. And Sky Island Adventures for that matter, all three. Anyway, he mentioned that the rocks here. You need some rocks. These rough surfaces help the beetles to clean themselves, interestingly.
Oh, okay.
And you've noticed, probably you've seen that the beetles will carry the little bubbles of air around with them.
I saw them
Sometimes
with the bubble
more
bug,
visible than others. Yeah. And they need that. It's kind of a cool thing because not only are they collecting air at the surface and then bringing it down, but because carbon dioxide diffuses very easily into water, and that bubble basically functions as a sort of aqua lung and allows them to breathe longer than they would because they're getting some gas exchange in that bubble.
That's wild.
Apparently, if they are not able to scrape themselves clean of biofilm, then that interferes with their ability to keep these bubbles and they can die. So that was a great tip from Jesse. He said, make sure you have some rocks for rough surfaces. So I put this little pile of rocks over here in the corner for them to rub themselves on, and haven't had any problems with that.
I'm a huge fan of rocks in my tanks anyway, so that's easy.
Yeah. And they're also good hiding places, and they can look really attractive and so on. So I have Mopani wood in here, and that might be enough for a surface for them to rub on. I wasn't sure. But I just said, Jesse's been doing this for a long time. He knows what he's talking about. I'm going to put rocks in. He said to do it. I'm going to do it. He also said to do it, to put some cork bark. He and Peter both mentioned to put some cork bark in or something like that. So I've got a piece of cork bark, and I do see the beetles get out on it. That's important. I also have a piece of the Mopani wood by design. I put the height of it so that it's always sticking out basically too. And you can see there's a beetle on it right now, resting. I don't know. Hopefully you can see that.
I think I can see it kind of up against the glass.
Yeah, let me see if I can get a little closer. It's a little bit tricky the way my camera's set up right now, but I'm going to try. And I'm going to take my camera off the tripod, so it might get a little more wiggly. But
here we go. If you're sensitive to that, guys, just close your eyes. I'll tell you when we're done again. I want my viewers to be safe.
I'm going to really try not to drop my phone in my aquarium here. But
that's
there
a
you
good
go.
thought. Oh, yeah. That's a little guy.
You can see, it's one of those smaller beetles resting there. But I see a lot of the beetles doing this. They need to get out of the water once in a while. And so it's important to have a couple of objects of that nature. The water lettuce helps too. They do use that as well as, but it's nice to give them options. So they've got some Bellisneria sticking out. They've got the cork bark. They've got the Mopani wood, and they've got the water lettuce. They have options.
Lots of options. That's so genius. Love it. Everything has a purpose in your setups. I think that's good. This is the killer question that everybody's going to want to know. Are you able to breed these guys, or are they?
Okay. This is pretty awesome. Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Many of them can be bred. And this is what's going on right now. Jessie and Peter are setting up, or have set up, it's been a while, they set up some big camel. That's not what I meant to say at all. I meant to say cattle tanks on the property, the Sky Island Adventures and Bugs in Cyberspace property.
Okay.
Big cattle tanks to basically provide breeding facilities for these bugs, and they're breeding them. A lot of them are breeding there. You can breed them indoors too, and Jessie has been working on breeding the back swimmers. He's getting the back swimmers to breed. They're doing it. They're breeding multi-generationally in his tank. And a lot of the beetles can be bred indoors too. And I've seen like footage on, I don't remember if it was Bugs in Cyberspace or Shapes in Nature, it was one of the Instagram channels. They showed a beetle larva that they had produced, if I remember correctly. And the idea with that is that, they're fighting over that piece. Check that out.
Yeah, they are.
That most of these beetles are okay with breeding in captive situation, but the larvae need to get on land to pupate. So you basically need a paludarium with the proper substrate in the land area so that they can get out and pupate. And then they will breed. Most of their larvae tend to be carnivorous like they are. And so they don't need to live totally differently from the adults except at pupation time.
I love it. I love it. Now, see, the paludarium I'm building with the land part that they would work in is getting pea puffers. So that's I feel like they would murder pea puffers.
It could be, yeah. Oh, but that's cool. What Jessie was just saying, Shapes of Nature, that he's breeding the beetles, the small diving beetles are breeding in the water. That's awesome. So not only is he breeding the back swimmers, he's breeding the small diving beetles in the water.
So they don't need to pupate out of the water then. Those ones, are they still?
That's what I'm not sure about. It sounds like maybe not, but I would want to see what Jessie says about that to confirm. Because I have not bred those yet. But they're also setting up. Peter was showing me he's setting up things to breed the giant water bugs, the toe biters.
Yeah.
And you can breed water striders too. They'll lay eggs on things like your cork bark and whatnot, and you can get those to breed in your aquarium. So a lot of these can breed in your aquarium, and a lot of them are now being bred more in the aquariums and in like the kettle tanks, like I'm talking about, that Jessie and Peter have set up.
That's so wild. Yeah, toe biters kind of terrify me. They're kind of water scorpions to me.
They're actually related fairly closely to water scorpions.
There we go. So wait, so water scorpions is already a thing?
Yeah, it is. And
I learned so much.
It's a relative of the toe biter.
That makes sense.
The genus of water scorpions, at least the genus that I'm most familiar with, is Ranatra, and the genus of the toe biters is Lethoceros, I believe. But they're both in the same family. Or not same family. They might be the same family. I don't know about the family. Not sure about that. But they're in the same order. They're hemipterids. They're both true bugs.
That is wild.
To me, when I look at a water scorpion, it reminds me very much of a mantis. It's a very like a long, thin mantis body type with a long, thin snorkel of a tail. I've had them before, and they're really cool. You can't really keep them in a setup like this unless you plan on having a lot of losses. They're
not communal. They're not communal.
They're not that communal. But they're communal okay with each other, and so are the Lethoceros. With enough space and enough food, they'll be okay. If you just keep them with their own species as adults, that's not necessarily true of the nymphs. But as adults, you can keep them together as long as they get enough food and stuff. But you can't really keep them with things like this.
They would just destroy these guys.
Yeah, they become lunch. But yeah, I once was bitten by a toe biter, not on the toe, on the finger. When I was about 13 years old. And it was the first one I'd ever found. Because when I was 8 years old, for my birthday, I got the Golden Pond Life book, or whatever it's called. It's a little field guide to pond life. I love that book. I think I still have it. And I learned about the giant water bug from that book. And so I knew what it was when I found it, because I was about 13 when I found it. but I didn't know how much it would hurt if I just held it in my hand and it bit me. So I got to experience that.
Now, it's not the pinch, it's the bite. It's the actual
It's the
bite.
bite. Yeah, the pinch is a pinch and you feel it, but the bite is worse because it's, it's injecting stuff into you that you don't really want in your finger or anywhere else.
Gross. All right. So they have a toxin or a venom?
Yeah, it's whatever they use to digest the bugs is, you feel it when it goes in.
That's so crazy. Yeah, and they fly. So, right on that tank.
The last time I saw one, it just landed at the bus stop. I was waiting for the bus and it just landed there. This 3-inch toe biter landed right by me. And I thought, I don't have a deli cup. What am I doing without a deli cup? But there it was. I had to let it go.
We all need to take notes from the ant keepers in the world. Like, they always have a little bag with test tubes and forceps and one of those little, I can't think of the name of it, the little sucker thing.
Oh, a pooter, an aspirator.
Aspirator, yes.
Yeah.
They've got a whole kit of gear ready to go at any given moment. So they're inspirational with that.
I am much better about it now than I was then. That was a few years ago, and I've since repented, and now I have, I'm better about carrying gear around. But
right. People asking like, "Oh, what's in your bag?" Don't worry about it. I don't have time to talk to you about it. Yeah. Believe me when I say you don't want to know.
You don't want to know what's in here.
My coworkers now ask me about crazy animals all the time because they heard about the show and everything. And I'm like, do you really want to know, or are you just making conversation? Are you going to walk away after a minute and a half? If you really want to know, I'll tell you, but I don't want to waste my time.
Right.
Yeah, because my wife, I know when my wife glazes over, it's time. Okay, let's talk about our favorite shows. I love these guys at the surface. They just look like little. Do you remember those wind-up boats that we had in the tub?
Yes.
Or the pool, and they'd go across the surface. This is what they remind me of.
Exactly. And they don't run on wind-up. They run on fruit flies and moths.
Even better.
Even better. Yeah, I'm seriously tempted to get a tank at some point and just have like 6 inches of water in it and 30 of these. I think that would be so cool.
So cool. Or like a lazy river. Now I want to install a lazy river in my yard.
Yeah.
Just have these guys in there, or just see what happens. Just see for my garter snakes and everybody.
Yeah.
So I'm going to set them up this year. The garter snakes are going to have I tore out their bushes, so they're going to have a utopia over by opposite my patio. So cool. We'll see if that works.
Yeah, but I bet the water feature would be amazing for them. They'd love that.
Yeah, I plan on doing something because I just want something over there anyway for the sound of it.
Yeah.
But now I want a whole big cattle thing of these guys in there too.
Yeah, I know when Shapes in Nature, he told me that as soon as you get a tank of these, you're going to want a bigger one, and he was 100% correct. I put them in the 20-gallon. I think this is fantastic, and I need a 40-gallon or a 55 or a 175. I need as much space as I can get for these guys. They're just too fun.
What's that couch-sized aquarium you have? Is there arowanas in there? No. It's water beetles. It's 4,000 water beetles. I throw a hamster in there twice a week, and they're fine. They're so wild. Can you guys? I hope I'm not like too obvious, like over here, like trying to get a different angle. You can see the activity in the scuds. Like all the activity in this tank is just amazing. Jesse, I feel like you're going to get a bunch of orders. So Jesse needs a 125.
Yeah.
I almost would put these in the ant tank.
It seems like that might not be so bad. I mean, they will get on land some, but the thing is, if ants come after, maybe they just, jump back into the water. Maybe they're okay. I don't know. It's hard to say.
I think it'd be really cool if you could that much. Yeah. I think that might, I don't know. I'm on the fence because that'd be about 40 gallons, but it's 5 feet long. It's the bottom 6 or 8 inches of a 100-gallon tank. Yeah. So they have a huge footprint.
They would. And if they had an island or two where they didn't have to go in the ant area, maybe they'd be okay. It's hard
now,
to
I
say.
don't see any fish in here. Would they
Right.
eat fish.
Yeah, they don't tend to get along too well because anything small enough to be eaten will be eaten. Anything big enough not to be eaten will probably bug the beetles, and maybe they'll bug each other. You know, that is actually a really great question and a common one, but it doesn't tend to be an ideal situation. So if you are going to have the pea puffers in there, you probably don't want the beetles in there because pea puffers are unpredictable. You know,
Yes.
some of them are absolute. They're wonderful fish, but some of them are absolute devils when it comes to anything else in the tank, and some of them are a little too passive, and you never know. Could go either way.
Well, we're going to do a thing on them too, but I read that they, if you keep them in shoals, they're more of a community fish. So 6 or more.
They
alone, they kind of go crazy if they're by themselves. So they have like the same kind of mindset that you would have in solitary confinement, kind of.
Right.
You like lose it and become super aggressive.
And with that much floor space, you should be able to get a decent number of them, and they should do okay.
Well, they're not going to be in there. They're not going to be in the ant tank.
Oh, right. That's the ant tank. Never mind. You're not going to do the ant tank. That's smart.
That's the morning geckos. They're going to go with the morning.
It's the morning geckos. Right. We talked about that. I forgot.
Yeah. Can you guys tell I have too much planned? It's kind of crazy. Oh, Josh Suds is here. Do you think Hillstream loaches would work with these guys? No,
I'm thinking the beetles would probably nibble on their fins and stuff.
Yeah, they seem a little sedentary to be in there. Because these guys, like you were showing, they do a lot of scent.
Yes.
They have a good sense of smell.
React to that. So it seems like a fish would just be a tempting thing to nibble on because it's there, and especially if it's not moving very fast. But they will chase down little fish, so, you know.
That can be fun to watch, too. Like throw a couple guppies in there or something every now and then.
Well, I do have endlers that I could do that with. I have so many endlers, it's not even funny, so I could do that. I do regularly, these days I have to give my garter snakes endlers once in a while just so that they don't get too overcrowded.
Oh, good. They're still eating fish. That's great.
Yeah.
I am so tempted. We have babies all over right now. I'm so tempted to get a few and bring them in, but I think I like them outside more.
Yeah, no, that's fair. They probably like it outside too, so that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm super tempted, but I'm like, snakes, they're fine here. I can grab them whenever I want. The ones we have are almost tame. But so these guys, I think Jessie was saying some of the guys at the top, whatever those, I forget what you called the water boatmen, the giant water boatmen have bitten.
These guys?
Have bitten him. Yeah. I think he said earlier they've bitten him.
Beetles, yeah. The giant whirligig beetles?
Whirligig, sorry. That
totally makes sense. I would not put it past him, so that makes sense. A lot of these can bite. And
okay.
I've never been bitten by any of them in this tank, but I have bitten by aquatic bugs before. In addition to toe biters, I've been bitten by water striders and probably a couple of others I'm not remembering right now. But
I did not know water striders would bite you.
Oh yeah, they're related to, they're true bugs as well with a piercing mouth. And yeah, you can feel it when they get you too. It's not as bad as like a toe biter, but you notice.
Wow. Because there's different sizes of those guys too. So
yeah, they're different species at different sizes. Yeah. So
crazy. Look at that, you guys. These are dangerous pets. I don't know why more of you guys don't have them. You guys have all these crazy dangerous pets.
I would honestly love to do water striders, but I'm going to need a different tank because I wanted these giant whirligig beetles more, and they would eat them, like I think I said before. So that's why I don't have them in here.
Fair. It's not worth the effort to get them to just be eaten. I don't know that I've ever caught a water strider. I've tried 1,000 times, but I don't think I've ever had it be successful because they have that spider sense.
Yeah.
And just get out of your way. But that would be cool.
They're not extraordinarily easy to catch, but they can. Yeah. I caught a bunch of them when I was a kid and put them in a tank, and one of them got out and crawled up my pant leg and bit me.
That is a story. I'm picturing young Russ like howling and running around doing that like dance. Like doing that crazy dance.
Yeah.
Someone's biting you in the thigh or something. Like that's that whole area is a sensitive area. You don't need to get bit there. Oh, I put that tank. That didn't mean to put you up there, Frank. Still hunting for that monster. Do you have it? Wait, what did he say? I lost a hand to a diving beetle. Yep, that sounds like Frank. Sounds like Frank. He's a lot smaller than we thought. Frank's only about this big, you guys. I don't know if you know.
No, no.
Yep, that's why he hated Waffles on Wally's show, is they were the same size and competed for clothes. So clothes are hard to find in that size at Kohl's. So I have the opposite problem.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I have a few Dolomites, Britain, Triton.
Oh, Dolomites. Those are the giant fishing spiders.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Those are cool. They live on the surface of the water. I remember seeing those in Texas. They are fantastic. And you don't necessarily have to keep most of them aquatically, from what I understand. But if you do provide them with a pool of water, they will run around on top of it.
That I would love to see. I just saw them at a show. They're a lot bigger than I thought they would be.
Yeah, they're big.
And then net casting spiders are a lot smaller than I thought they would be. And not as interesting. Not as interesting as these guys. I just can't get over the movement. Like, this is a regular aquarium movement to me.
Right.
Like a community tank.
It's just always going. Never a dull moment like this.
You're saying the water lettuce just sucks out all of the nutrients and nitrates, so they can't be producing that much waste.
They don't produce as much waste as, I think their bioload is a little lower than it would be for fish of comparable size.
Okay.
I do water changes, and I don't know if you can see the water has a little bit of a tannin tint to it still.
Okay.
I got most of that out because the Mopani wood, it's going to leach tannins. It's just what Mopani wood does. And I started the tank. I actually put the Mopani wood in it like 2 months before I got beetles in it.
Okay. Makes sense.
To help leach out the worst of the tannins. And I also run activated carbon in the filter and do, like a 20% water change once a week or so.
That's a lot of water change.
But I do that anyway, just with my fish. And so it's not a big deal to me because I've got the python I hook up to the sink and it drains and fills and all that. So it's not a big deal for me to do it. It just takes a couple minutes.
Oh, that's easy. That's a super
and you don't need to do it that often. You don't need to do it that often necessarily with these beetles. It's just I do because I'm already doing it.
Okay, it's just part of your routine.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's right under my Endler tank. And why not if I'm here?
Sure. That's a question. I don't know if we addressed it. Beetle Guy had the question, like, do they prefer murky water with tannins or like that or no?
One cool thing about aquatic beetles and aquatic bugs in general is that because, at least the adults, this is not true of all of the babies because some of the babies are breathing with essentially gills. But as far as the adults go, they are not particular about water quality at all, really, because they are not breathing in it. They're breathing atmospheric air, and so the water quality is just not nearly as much of an issue for them as it would be for a fish or whatever, shrimp, that kind of thing.
That's cool. So, guys, if you have crappy water, this might be the tank pet for you.
Yeah. So they don't mind the murky water. They're often found in it, but they're often, like you were saying, you find them in your swimming pool. So that would kill a fish to drop it in your chlorinated swimming pool, but these beetles will kick around in there for days and be fine.
That's so funny. That explains why we find so many of them in the pool, and they just seem to be fine.
Yeah.
Now, do these guys fly?
Yes. I think every single species of beetle in here flies. And so I'm glad you mentioned that because you have to be careful how you cover it. I don't know if you'll probably not be able to see this because the room's kind of dark, but I'm going to try. We'll see what we get.
Okay.
I've got a secure glass cover on, as one might imagine. And then in the back where there's a little gap, I've got screen. Can you see that?
Oh, yeah.
Screen all the way along the back so nobody gets out.
Wow. Okay.
So that's important. Because not that they necessarily would fly out because, if they're in a good place, they'll often leave when they're overcrowded or the water is the body of water they're living in doesn't have enough food or something, that's not working for them. They'll leave. And if everything's hunky-dory, they'll stay. but they might decide to go on walkabout at some point or fly about, and so you do need to have a well-fitting lid.
Okay. That rules out the tank. That rules out the ant tank then. I'll figure something out.
Yeah, that makes sense. You want to make sure you have a good lid.
Yeah, I don't they're gonna have open air so they can get to the canopy thing again.
Okay.
So they
So a different tank. Different tank.
Yes. I would totally dedicate a tank to these guys. They're totally worth it. I'll have a 10 that's just kind of sitting there, so it'll be perfect.
Oh yeah, a 10. You can do a lot in a 10 with these guys. The density, you can go pretty high with the density of these beetles, and so a 10 would be ample for a little starter. When Peter can send you a little starter, you'd have plenty of room in a 10.
Okay, cool. Jamie or Jesse says that he notices the smaller black diving beetles try to fly a lot. So
the smaller ones.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. I haven't seen that, or I don't remember if I've seen that honestly, but that's good to know that the little smaller ones are going to be more prone to it, and that's why this. You do have to make sure you make some concessions to security.
Which is good. That's good to know. Ahead of time, for sure.
Yeah.
We talked about this, guys. Do your homework. Don't buy a blind snake and not have ants. Don't do it. I've been getting a lot of questions about the blind snakes lately, the ones that burrow into termite and ant nests and eat the larvae.
Yeah.
And I was like, you would need way too many ants to make that happen. You would never see them. I don't see the point.
I've heard of people keeping those in an isopod bin with isopods that reproduce fairly quickly, and they seem to do fine eating a lot of the younger isopods.
One person I talked to said they're feeding them dwarf whites. So
so that makes sense. Yeah. I used to see those in Hawaii. They're the only snake that lives in Hawaii, is the flower pot snake. And I assume they were eating, all kinds of things, including roaches, because there's a lot of roaches in Hawaii, a lot of like fossorial roaches.
Okay, sure.
And things like that, and as well as ant pupae and ant larvae and all kinds of stuff. There's a lot of ants there too, so it makes sense. But
okay, maybe you can make it work then. My bad, guys.
I don't know. I've never kept them. I would find them. I had a neighbor once call me and say, "Get this thing. What is it in my front yard?" And yeah, it was a little brownie blind snake that crawled out of the grass.
They look a lot like worms to me. What are they, like 6 inches?
Yeah, they do look a lot like worms. But then they stick their tongues out and flick them and think.
You get real confused. Do worms have tongues?
Worms don't have anything analogous to tongues, right? So it confuses a lot of people.
Right? Yeah, that would confuse me to see that. So the digestive tract that lives underground has a tongue. So now you couldn't keep aquatic isopods with these guys. They'd eat them, right?
Good question. I've wondered about that because the scuds are doing fine. And the aquatic isopods that I've kept are very similar to scuds in the way they live. And I wouldn't be too surprised. Ideally, what I would do is set up a tank and get it all cycled and everything and add a bunch of aquatic isopods, make sure they're breeding, make sure there's plenty of things to hide under, like the rocks and whatnot. And once they're breeding really well, then I'd put some beetles in and see how it went.
Makes sense. Because you could, they're big enough, you could get the beetles out fairly easily.
Yeah. And some of these aquatic isopods, the one that lives around here it's like 3/4 of an inch long, and they're pretty big. So thinking it might work. Maybe I'll try to add some to it this summer, some of the larger ones, and see how they do. I don't know.
Yeah, just see, or just put a couple in and see if they get devastated immediately.
Yeah.
After a feeding,
when everybody's kind of sated. Yeah.
How long do they tend to live? Like, you've got 4 or 5 species in here, so that's kind of a general thing. But
yeah, and there's actually even more species than we're seeing. But the ones that I'm seeing here, I think it depends on the species quite a bit. Like you said, it's a general thing. Some might live. Some of these insects just live a few months, and some of them can live a couple years, maybe 3 years or so. It's probably somewhere in between, depending on the species, somewhere between 3 months and 3 years ish, to be rough.
That's not too bad. 3 years is decent.
And some of them will be shorter, and it just depends. And one thing, you can never really count on how long it's going to be. But
yes, you don't know. Are these mostly wild caught then?
I think most of these individuals are.
Okay.
But they they breed like crazy where they are, so it's not too big of a deal with something like it would be for a reptile. It's quite a bit different. But I do think it's cool that Bugs in Cyberspace is working on breeding them, and encouraging that, and they're getting quite a few of them to breed already. I think that's very cool.
That's excellent. I wouldn't imagine it's super difficult. It's just a matter of finding out what they need to do. Beetles are prolific, if anything.
Yeah. And I love the fact that, and right now I don't have any of the little back swimmers in here, but the back swimmers are so cool because they add to the whole effect visually by kind of hovering in the water column.
Okay.
And they're always moving, and they're sort of a schooling insect too. They tend to hang out together in the same area, but they seem to have neutral buoyancy, and so it's a really cool sort of a hovering effect that you get, which you're not seeing here because I don't have any right now, but I will be getting some, and they're fantastic that way. And they will breed really easily. They're probably the easiest ones to breed of all the critters that you can keep, besides the scuds and the snails, obviously. But as far as the insects, the aquatic insects we've been discussing, they're probably the easiest to breed because they produce nymphs from eggs, and the eggs just hatch into nymphs that are miniature replicas like crickets do, like roaches do, of the adults, essentially, just not winged. And then they basically eat the same foods and all that stuff, so it's not, you don't have to worry about a pupal stage or anything, so it's quite easy to do.
Oh, that sounds great. And they're that interesting. That's totally worth the time.
Oh yeah.
Well, probably no time or effort involved. You just kind of give them a good home, and that's it.
Right. And they get plenty to eat because they're kind of omnivorous. They're eating a lot of detritus and stuff. You throw some Daphnia or bloodworms are in there, and they eat that kind of stuff. So it's pretty easy to feed them and just have them grow up in the same conditions.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've been reading up too much on live food this week. So different tiny live feeders. So I didn't know all the stuff that lives in your sponge filter that could be used for food, for fry and small insects or whatever.
Yeah, the squeezings from a sponge filter, that's quite a smorgasbord.
Right? It makes sense. It makes sense if all the spent trash is getting stuck there, then something would live there to eat off it.
Exactly.
These guys are great. I can't get over how carnivorous they were.
Yeah, and how enthusiastically carnivorous.
But 3 of them trying to swim away with the same piece of food is what made me laugh the hardest.
Oh yeah, I love that.
So now the whirligigs don't go underwater totally.
They do when they get scared.
Okay.
When I if I open the tank or something, sometimes, especially when I first got them, or if I stick my hand in the tank or something, they'll do it. They'll dunk under the water and swim really fast underwater and bump all around, knock into things. But generally, they prefer to stay right on the surface.
Fantastic. Oh, Reed showed up. How you doing, bud? That's too funny. It's funny that they have 2 sets of eyes and still just run into things. That just speaks to the derpiness of beetles. I think there's a few beetle exceptions, but most of them are just literal tanks. They just bulldoze through life, oblivious to obstructions or whatever else. Yeah.
When the food is in here, they transform into just these voracious killing machines. But when something disturbs them, they revel in derp.
I wonder if they would burrow if you had sand or a mud down there.
Like a fine substrate in there. Yeah. I don't know. Good question. I think some of these other beetles would dig down into the substrate more, especially maybe the little diving beetles.
Okay. That makes sense.
Here's some of the snails cleaning up the remnants.
Yeah, I keep seeing little piles. Yep. Waiting for the beetles to come knock them off and be like, wait, I'm not done. I'm not done there. Oh, and Don showed up? Nice.
I was probably a little enthusiastic when I put the food in there. I probably put a little bit too much, but you can see the snails are taking care of it. So
yeah, okay. It's not going to go to waste. And then the water lettuce will get whatever's left over.
Yeah, it'll be sucking nutrients for sure.
You'll get a boom in scud population, and that worse things could happen.
Yeah.
I love how they just get along with everybody. Like, they don't seem to be... I'm sure they probably pick a scud off here and there, but they don't seem to care. Was that one of the small ones that just went up through the screen?
Yeah, one of the smaller ones right there. Yeah. This is kind of like maybe a medium-sized one.
I thought I saw like a really small one, but
it could be
really fast.
I might have missed
it. Yeah, see, look at him. He's going under the snail to get that food.
I love that. They're so excited about life, about doing everything. They go about everything with intensity and makes it fun.
All with a bubble of air from their butt. Spiracles, folks. Spiracles.
Yep.
I'm fascinated by all these aquatic or semi-aquatic, I guess, insects and their adaptations. Like the diving bell spider, and these guys are kind of similar with that bubble.
Yeah.
Whatever that lizard was, I don't remember. I didn't really look into it that much, but I posted a little video of a lizard that keeps an air bubble trapped over its nostrils so it can sit underwater.
Cool.
Yeah, really cool looking. It looks like it's about the size of an anole, but I could be wrong on that.
Look into that.
Super interesting. I've got to do more homework instead of just saying random things. Like, I watch Animal Planet. If that's even still a thing.
Yeah, I don't even know.
I just can't get over these guys. Now, what they do, they would probably eat just about whatever you put in here, wouldn't they?
Pretty much, yeah. You can put algae chips in, fish flakes, various pellets, shrimp pellets, like you were saying. What did we talk about before? Bloodworms, probably most other frozen fish food.
Mysis, Daphnia, whatever.
Mysis, Daphnia. Yeah, they definitely, the Daphnia disappear really fast when I put them in here. So
that's so funny. You would think it's small for them, but I guess not.
Yeah, they seem to be. I mean, some of them are probably getting caught in the filter, but not all of them.
It's probably not that intense of a filter. I wouldn't think it was that crazy.
Yeah, because I definitely toned down the filter. I had one that was more than twice this size, I think, and it was just too much. So
yeah, I would imagine just sending them all over the place. Because they're not living in much, but like a lot of ponds and such in the wild, right?
A lot of the time, I mean, and they'll show up in different bodies of water, and some of them are moving bodies of water, but a lot of them are more about this more stagnant bodies of water.
Which is another good thing about not being too concerned about the water quality as much as being able to get out of it.
Yeah. Even I live fairly close to the Great Salt Lake. I can drive there in 40 minutes or so, and there are pools that will form certain times of the year that will form right up next to the salty water, which is like 10 times salter than the ocean. But then in these pools, there are the little back swimmers will show up in those pools, and I'm sure those pools are brackish. At least they've got to be, because they're right in the wet sand close to the water. So, and they're fine in there, and they're eating the brine shrimp and the brine fly larvae and whatnot that are there.
That's too crazy.
And the detritus, whatever. So they're pretty adaptable as far as water goes. I haven't been to the lake in a long time, but I remember seeing them in there, in the little pools right up against the lake.
Do you keep the Gigamorphus rambambasham species, or is that one you're still looking for?
I'm still working on that one. But there's a giant scavenger beetle that gets quite large. That is an aquatic beetle that I think it would be really cool to keep at some point.
They're so cool.
Oh, you can really see the bubble on that one.
Oh yeah, show off. He's gonna be down there for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, all they need is a rock to rub their butt on, and keep that clean, and water, and you're good to go. Something to eat.
Yeah, they're super easy compared to a lot of aquatic creatures. That's part of the fun. They're not as hard as fish because water quality is not so much of a concern. Their bioload seems pretty light.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably keep them without a filter, just in the tank.
Yeah.
The filter's nice. Keep the water from smelling, basically.
Yeah, you'd want to change it once in a while for that reason, but as far as their health is concerned, you wouldn't have to worry about it as much.
So cool. And you can keep them in camel tanks with your camel. Generally big, but
yeah, it's going to be a while before I live that one down, I think.
I mean, if I still have to hear about Gigaphus Rambam Shams a year later, I forget about it until Beetle or Jedi Monkey post it in the comments. You know my love of Latin names.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to be contacting you for some prospective Latin names.
Cool.
In a little while. So yeah, we're going to try to figure that out because we have some great shows coming up that are going to require that.
Cool.
So now none of these guys are herbivorous, basically, right? They're not going to chew up the plants, or I don't see the plants seem to be in great shape.
Yeah, they don't seem to do that, except for the scuds will munch on the plants to some degree. But
yeah,
with plants that grow this fast, it's not a big deal. And ram's horn snails sometimes will eat plants, especially if the plant's not doing so hot. But as far as the insects in here, I think the back swimmers, especially the little ones, will eat algae and soft plant material.
Okay.
But again, not enough to cause big problems with something like water lettuce.
Sure. Water lettuce, it's pretty sturdy.
Yeah, and
I don't see too much.
So fast, it's incredible.
So crazy. Yeah, see, I've got to get some of that too for some of the tanks. So many fish and aquatic animals just benefit from those dangling roots.
Yes, that's part of the reason my endlers do so well, I think, is because the roots are protecting the little babies and stuff.
Oh yeah, and they're probably producing like rotifers and all kinds of stuff for them to eat. Is that right? Am I saying that right?
Yeah. Some people say rotifers, some people say rotifers. I prefer the one you said, rotifers, myself.
Okay. I like the idea that there's all that microscopic life just living in there.
Yeah, exactly. It's improving water quality, providing food, all kinds of stuff. Just a shelter. When one way I can collect scuds out of this tank, I just pull some of these plant roots out, shake them in another water container, and the scuds fall off.
Yes, that's what I did with my duckweed. So I just scooped a thing of duckweed and then put it in another tank, and I had a second colony of scuds immediately.
Yeah, super easy to do.
It was great. So I have three scud tanks going now.
Nice.
Just jars basically with aeration. They're good to go. So, and I'm going to seed all the tanks that I'm putting up with them as well. I don't expect them to last in all of them, but
the puffers are going to snack on those, but that's good.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing.
Yes, they're going to introduce them now and then. I kind of can't wait for all that. They eat from the water lettuce. Scavengers will. They eat from the water lettuce. So there's scavenger beetles too, huh?
Mm-hmm. And I haven't seen any today, but I do have some in here.
The scavenger ones?
Beetles, they're the ones that they don't swim quite as adeptly as these others that look like they are adapted for swimming.
Mm-hmm.
They look more
definitely
like
are.
The other ones look kind of like they're in water by accident, but they're not. They just look like it. I think that's how Jessie explained it to me, and he's totally spot on.
They're holding on to a snail for dear life. Like, what was I thinking? Dear God. They're just too cool. And that's all they need is a bubbler and a little turtle filter, and you're good to go.
Yep.
Sorry,
And
submerged filter.
Some bright light is helpful too. I just have an LED on here, and it's
okay.
Good for the plants, but it also makes it a lot easier to see them, of course.
And they don't seem to care at all.
No. I think they come from areas where a lot of times they're out. Their pools that they're in are out in bright sun, and they're used to it.
Well, that just speaks to more adaptation, or not adaptation, but acceptiveness. Yeah, that's the word. That's a way better word than adaptation. Acceptiveness of different water parameters, like the heat in one of those like unshaded ponds or whatever has to be so much higher than it is at your room temperature.
Right, especially in places like Arizona where all these ones, came from. Where it's out in the sun and it's going to get warm. And this is a fun thing too. Not too long ago, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, Peter posted on the Bugs in Cyberspace channel about one of the cattle tanks that had frozen over, and there was a beetle trapped in the ice. And he took the piece of ice in which the beetle was trapped, put it somewhere else, and let it thaw, and then the beetle was zipping around. It was totally fine after having been trapped in that ice.
That's unbelievable. That's really cool. Wait, Jessie, what did you keep triops and clam shrimp with? They're so all over the place. I want to say he's talking about a mono shrimp, but I don't know for sure.
I have kept triops with some other critters before. It's interesting. I got a couple of triops right now, and I'm thinking of when they become adults, I might put a couple in here.
That would be cool to see. I just love the movement and the just fossil looking aesthetic of the triops.
Very primordial looking, very cool. That would be fun. When I was down at Sky Island Adventures, we were visiting the vernal pools, and it was a little bit early for triops and clam shrimp and stuff. I saw one triops in this big pool, and I thought I was going to be able to catch it and see it again, but it got away from me and I lost it. Did not catch it.
One triops.
I didn't even want to bring it home or anything. I just wanted to, get some video of it or something, but no, it got away.
Yep. That kind of happens to me all the time. I'm not as bold as I used to be about diving in after things. Like I just kind of, I missed it. Like it's a way different thing now. Like as a kid, I remember swimming out to this little island we had off the lake that we vacationed at, and swimming back with one hand in the air with a turtle. Don't ask me to do that today.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I was a lot less careful about leaping onto things and grabbing them when I was a kid too. And now I'm a little bit more reserved about it. I still do it, but I think about it for a split second first.
It's not the thing I'm worried about. It's the leaping part that really deters me now.
Makes sense.
So I don't have that agility that I had as a kid.
That makes sense.
We did climb a tree 2 weeks ago to try to get a better shot of a bald eagle that was in my neighborhood.
Oh, cool.
So, yep. I'm nowhere near bald eagle territory, and it was a young one, but it was in a tree across the street. And I was like, I need a better picture. So I climbed the tree and then realized I left my phone with my daughter. So, down on the ground. Yeah.
Hopefully you got a better look at it at least.
I did. And then as soon as I went to go back down, he flew away. He was watching me the whole time. Like, what are you thinking? I'm not too smart to dive in after them. I just, it's a different situation. Now I'm going to be looking in every creek because I'm going to be out looking for aquatic isopods this year too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I want to keep them again. They were the first isopods I actually kept.
You were saying as a kid. Yeah, you found them.
Yeah, and so it'd be fun to do that again. It was decades and decades ago when I was a kid, and I didn't really know what I was doing, but they did fine and they bred for me, so it can't be that hard. I got to try it again.
Yeah, if you can do it as a kid in a shoebox or whatever, an aquatic shoebox, you can do it as an adult. as Russ Wilson.
Yeah, and I've bred some marine species too, and that's been a while since I've done that. But those are easy because you just get basically live rock, and they're covered in isopods when you get them. As long as you can keep them alive, you're good, and they're pretty easy to keep alive.
It doesn't seem too hard. They'll eat anything, I imagine.
Yeah, they're the cleanup crew of marine tanks, along with the marine amphipods and a few other critters. So,
we have another person. Of other Kate Degonia? Dijonia. Oh, sorry. It's Kate Dijonia. I got it for you. I got it for you, Russ. Don't worry about it. I'm pretty sure, Kate, if you go back in your family tree, that's exactly how they pronounced it in the old country.
Probably.
Yeah, right before they ordered an espresso. So that was the name on the cup. It rhymes with begonia. Well, I mean, tell that to Rod Sprague. He was here earlier. I met a customer today with the last name Sprague at the bank, and I asked him if he was related to Rod, and he said no. So I just said it was a friend of my cousin's. I didn't say a viewer of my YouTube channel. Didn't want to get into that. These guys don't seem to need much at all.
No,
this is an easy pet.
Yeah, it is, and you can get fairly high density in one tank. I mean, there's a lot of beetles in here. We didn't see all of them today, but we saw a pretty good cross section of them, I would say.
I feel like I need to message Jessie and Pete ASAP because these are going to be gone. As soon as people see this.
Probably, get your starter kit request in.
I feel like me staring at them like this the whole episode is probably a good signal. So they're easy to keep. They're always active. Water quality is like, whatever. Good luck. Do what you want. They can be snails, scuds. They're fun to watch eat. They're competitive. They're just everything. Just keeping a good lid on the tank is all you need to do.
Yeah. Yep, and maintain a certain very basic water quality, but you don't need to concern yourself too much about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something you need to lose sleep over, obviously, with these guys. Your water changes are more for the scuds and the snails at this point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because you're doing it. But, super easy, super adaptive, fun to watch. You can't go wrong with these guys. If you have an aquarium in your house that's doing nothing, I predict it'll be doing this in the near future.
Yeah, definitely.
They're just too. What is he after now? Or was he just squabbling?
I think it was just kind of encounter in there. Whoa, what's going on? Okay.
That was definitely on his mind. Now, is that one on the Velasnaria that's just like rested up? I'm pointing at it so you can tell what I'm talking about.
Oh, I see the one you're talking about. Yeah, there's one of the diving beetles that's attached to the Velasnaria just hanging out.
That's just too much.
Kind of wondering what it was doing there. You can see that some of the fruit flies have taken refuge on the piece of cork bark there. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes they'll be there for a little while, and then I can just kind of tap them off and see if they'll go. The Dinutus beetles will come for them again.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, that did not take long. So their eyes do work fairly well. Okay.
Apparently, although I do think they're attracted primarily to the vibrations first. Like they'll feel the vibration and then come in response to that, and then they'll use their eyes to zero in, is what I'm assuming.
Okay.
Because the other day I dropped a moth in there, and I had accidentally squished it a little too much on my way over here because I tried to do it when the moth's alive so they feel the vibrations. And this moth was not moving, and it took them a while to figure out what was going on. When it's moving, they're on it, like immediately.
Look at the agitation. Look at them just zipping around now.
Yeah.
And something's dive bombing him, like reverse dive bombing him from the bottom. So he's got to keep moving. I can't get over the speed of the whirligig beetles.
They're amazing. they are. They're like little speedboats, like you were saying before. And I remember fondly my little wind-up speedboat, but these are like 10 times better.
I can almost promise. I'm such a fan of toys. I can almost pick out like what each person's like one of their favorite toys as a kid was.
Yeah,
that was one. It's probably my top 5.
Yeah, me too. That was a fun toy. And I'm gonna move this out of the way so maybe we can see a little bit better.
Yeah, sure. See, I like when they blast through the water lettuce. They just like go through it like it's not there.
Right. It's kind of amazing how they do that.
And then it just kind of parts. It's just there. Yeah, you can see that one is underwater and comes up.
Yeah. Once in a while they will do that. It scared me the first time they did it because I thought, well, where did they go? They're all gone. They were here on the surface. And then I saw them zipping around on the bottom and realized what was going on.
They are so agitated right now. What is the problem?
I think they still think there are more fruit flies available.
I bet there might be some on top of the water lettuce, actually.
Probably. Once in a while, I'll see fruit flies even a day or two later that are just kicking around on the water lettuce. Usually they get most of it, but there might be some. But they're ready for it when it comes. You can tell.
That's so wild. Aquatic caterpillars? Rod had aquatic caterpillars at University of Idaho.
What do they metamorphose into?
Yeah, what do they grow into, Rod? What's the adults? Because I was looking for dragonfly nymphs last year to try to keep till they grew.
Yeah.
Didn't find any. They're sneaky.
I don't think I've ever kept dragonfly nymphs, but one of the first aquatic insects I ever kept when I was like 9 years old was a damselfly naiad that metamorphosed into an adult in my aquarium.
Okay.
That was super cool.
Then you can feed the adults to these guys. Circle of life.
Could have. Yeah. And then I had a caddisfly larva too. The caddisfly larvae are those ones that build little shelters out of environmental
That's
objects.
the one. Yeah.
And I had a caddisfly larva I put in my aquarium, and it started building its little tunnel as it grew out of bits of colored aquarium gravel. I remember it had one blue piece of gravel that it cemented into its little shelter. It was kind of fun.
That would be cool to watch. I like those guys that just build their own little shell or nest or whatever. Rod says they become nondescript moths. So
okay,
that's the only remarkable thing about them is they have aquatic caterpillars.
They're aquatic. Interesting larvae, but the adults are not so exciting, I guess.
I guess not. Jesse said he made a mistake of putting a little dragonfly naiad. Is that the right word?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Am I saying that right? I mean,
naiad. Yeah.
Yeah, he put it in his tank and it turned into a giant eating machine. Yeah.
Oh, he was telling me about that.
The last time I saw one was in the live plant tank at a Petco.
Wow.
They didn't know it was there. It was about the size of a quarter. And I was like, that's a dragonfly nymph. And the guy was arguing with me like, no, that's a baby praying mantis. And I was, I just left.
That's the only thing you can do at that point. If they're convinced of something so absurd, then yeah, that's basically all you can do.
I mean, the face is similar with those giant eyes and everything, but
yeah,
I just was like, oh, okay, man.
But they have a stupid raptorial mandible instead of raptorial forelegs.
They do. They have that like underwater arm, basically.
Raptorial underbite. Yeah.
It's so cool to watch. Like I've only seen it on TV or whatever, but very cool to watch.
It's pretty fantastic.
They would not go with these guys either.
No, dragonfly naiads are one of those things that if you have one, you need to keep it with things you want it to eat, or nothing.
Things you want to eat, or nothing. Or nothing. Petco, yeah. There's good people at the big box stores. We're going to get into that in a couple of weeks. We're going to talk to somebody about big box stores. Does anyone else have any questions about these beetles? While you guys fire that up, I'm going to go into some stuff that we're going to be doing. So Russ is going to be one of my guests in August. I think we decided. Is that August or July?
Yes. I think
I'm
it's
going to
the
be
second half of August. Yeah.
I think it's the 20th. Yeah. So we are going to be doing, I'm going to be doing a series with other guests regarding fictional animals. So they're real in our hearts. So Justin and I, Green Jedi Monkey, are going to be doing an episode coming up here on the 1st. It's a Thursday. I'm going to try to do these on Thursdays, but I know it doesn't work for a lot of the other creators. But we're going to go into Sasquatch and the different morphs of Sasquatch that show up all over the world. So we're going to talk about that. Do the Beatles pay rent is a question from Frank. Of course, that's from Frank. Of course.
Well, they certainly earn their keep in entertainment value. Let's put it that way.
Menagerie says Reptorial Underbite is 100% her new band name.
I love it.
And Jessie would buy that album. So, yeah.
So would I. I'm there.
Right? It sounds like a great name. You know what it would be is if it was folk rock. That would be so appropriate.
Oh, is there something I would like to mention, if that's okay?
Yeah.
One of my patrons said that Sarah Clips said that aquatic insects are some of her favorite arthropods in the world, and she used to keep some and feed them frozen chicken liver, and they loved it. So they're pretty adaptable, I guess. That's interesting.
I feel like they'll just eat anything. Reed wanted to know how hard this setup is. Reed, this setup is easy. You can set this up in 15 minutes. I imagine you just need to set it up a dechlorinator for your water. And that'd be the hardest thing.
Yeah, and that would mostly be just to get the cycle going, not so much for the insects themselves as much as you want to encourage beneficial bacteria, which are not going to tolerate chlorine, so you want the dechlorinator for that reason.
Yeah. Sponge filter regular. No, this is just one of those turtle tank submersible waterfall filters. And,
adjustable height turtle filter.
Yeah, and a naked airline on the other side. That's it.
Yep. No air stone.
Yeah, just a bubbler, basically, just literally bubbles.
And you could do an air stone if you wanted to, but I don't. But
yeah.
And you can just use a hang on back filter. The reason why I put this one in is because it allows me to adjust the height a little bit better, and then I can regulate the noise from the water and all that kind of stuff without having to worry about the motor or the impeller needing to be primed with water from another, hang on back filter. You can use one.
I mean, yeah, this is the easiest setup I've ever seen. You don't need a heater. You don't need to cycle the tank because they don't pull anything from the tank, from the water. I mean, ideally you would, but you don't need to cycle it, right?
Yeah, I mean, you don't necessarily. I did because I was putting scuds and stuff in, and for the scud's sake, I did it. But you wouldn't necessarily need to before you put beetles in.
Yeah, I mean, beetles and snails would cycle it for you in no time. And then, what is this? Beetle guy wants to know if you keep any other species of aquatic insects that aren't Coleoptera or Hemiptera. Okay,
Hemiptera?
Look at that. I did it. I did it.
You did, yeah. I don't currently, and right now I don't actually have any hemipterids in here. I'm going to put some in again, but yeah, they're all in the Coleoptera or Coleoptera, depending on how you want to pronounce it. They're all in that group for right now. All of the insects in here.
Well,
of course, I have mollusks and I have crustaceans and mollusks in here as well. But as far as insects go, they're all beetles right now.
Who was talking about? Wait, somebody said something about turtles. Was that me?
You mentioned about holding the turtle up as you swam across from the island.
Somebody asked about 30%. They're going off about turtle jokes. I want to know if that was me or not. 30% turtle change to keep your water happy. They're talking about all these turtles. Too many turtles in the water. You have to filter out the turtles. Okay, I don't know. Yes, the Beetle guy, that was exactly my concept. Russ has two very different but very cool communal beetle tanks. And one is desert, absence of water, and one is complete water. So that speaks to the diversity of beetles too. There's like 87 million species of beetle or something, I think, last time I counted. I'm not good at math.
Incredibly diverse. It's true.
Katie says her husband's not going to be happy she saw this stream. I think Reed's going to get these. So, yeah. So, Pete and Jessie, I hope you guys make a fortune off of this episode because it looks like everybody watching this is going to get these guys. I didn't know they were this easy. I didn't know they were this simple. So, I had no idea. So, these are definitely on my list of must-haves.
Yeah. And you know where to go.
I know exactly where to go. Again, guys, I'm going to put the link. As soon as I order mine, I'm going to put the link in the video, in the description. I just love their little paddles, and those are just adaptive set of legs, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
Is it their hind legs or?
They're the most adapted to swimming in most of these seems to be their hind legs, but there's some adaptations in their other legs as well. As far as the diving beetles go.
Okay.
They seem to be more flattened and have like more little the CT or the hairs on them.
Mm-hmm.
That are more make them more paddle-like, but yeah, I think all of their legs are adapted somewhat for swimming, and of course these guys, their back legs are more adapted for swimming, and their front legs are raptorial.
Oh wow! I want to address Frank's question. The square root of waffle is vanilla. Just so you know. Do they like a Florida climate? Reed, they survive in like Arizona ponds that are probably like 105 degrees at the surface. So. Yes, I think Florida would be fine.
Yeah, Florida has a pretty good complement of aquatic insects. Yeah.
Rod's making jokes too. All right, so speaking of other arthropods, there are large centipedes in the tropics that swim underwater. Yes. I just saw that, and they are monsters. They're huge, and they hunt fish. And yeah, centipedes have to stop conquering different landscapes.
Yeah, when I saw that a few years ago, I was blown away by I think Scolopendra cataracta was the species I saw, like the waterfall centipede, basically.
Unbelievable.
I think that's what the name basically means, but sawing it diving and catching, going after various critters in the water, amazing.
Well, I mean, weren't we talking? I was talking to somebody about centipedes. I'm sorry, I forgot who it was. I want to say it was Kevin Nasser, but maybe not. But they hang off the edge of a cave and catch bats as they come out.
Yeah.
Like, what? I knew snakes did that, but I didn't know that there were horrifying centipedes that were big enough to do that.
Centipedes that figured out how to do that, and they're big enough. Yeah, definitely big enough to do it. It's crazy.
Unreal.
I don't have any aquatic centipedes in here. Just that's just for the record.
Good. I have enough nightmares. They mostly involve work. That was a question. At what point do your nightmares become about work and not about like Michael Myers? Because there's no monsters in my nightmares anymore. It's like awful customers and restaurants, and it's awful. And you wake up more stressed out, like you're cold sweat, sit up straight, like no.
Yeah. You know that dream you used to have when you showed up to school and realized that you've been taking a class for the past 14 weeks and you don't remember it, and it's now time for finals and you need to go take your final.
And you're in your underwear? Yeah.
Yeah. I still have that dream, and sometimes I'm teaching the class, but it doesn't really change anything. It's really frustrating.
Oh, God.
I get those nightmares.
See, yeah. I had the ones where I would wake up and my bed was in the class, and class was already in session, and I was just in class, in my bed, freaking out about it. Like, no one said anything either. No one even noticed, but I was freaking out about it.
You noticed. Yep. I've had that one too.
Nobody even cared. It was like, it's just Tuesday, whatever. Yeah, I feel like Reed lives in Florida, so like he's got that whole, he could literally keep anything, and he doesn't. So he's my chef friend who watches because we're entertaining. And he's supportive, and that's a good guy.
Yeah.
Those spotted ones are so cool.
Yeah. It's hard to pick a favorite, but that's up there for sure for me.
I think the whirligigs are my hot topic, but they're not as pretty, but that streamlined like silver sheen that they have is awesome, and the speed and crazy.
If I could only keep two of them, I think it would be those two species. I'm glad I don't only have two. But if I had to keep two, it would be those two probably.
If Fish and Wildlife passes any more laws, maybe you'll just be relegated to two.
Yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen. We need to fight again.
I don't think it'll ever end. I think we just have to be activists.
We just have to keep fighting. Yep.
So to keep our animals. So do that, guys. Give to, oh my God, I can't think of their name. My brain is saying Affleck, and that's not it.
Oh, US Art.
US Art. I couldn't get there. My brain got stuck on Affleck. US Art. It was bad. Yeah, thanks, Menagerie, US Art. There you go. So donate to them, guys. 2 months ago, I gave our Patreon money all to US Art, or whenever it was that snake thing came out.
Oh yeah,
it wasn't a ton, but hey, it's something.
It is always something.
It was 100% of something. Yeah, I think that's all I got tonight. But yeah, so Russ is going to come on, and he is our Star Wars wildlife expert. So I have the degree, but Russ has done a lot of the field work. So we're going to talk about that. And then Jedi Monkey and I are going to talk about Sasquatch, and Coral Bee and I are going to talk about fantasy creatures from our Dungeons and Dragons days. So yeah. And if these are popular, if you guys like these, we'll keep doing them, because it's going to be their husbandry. We're not going to just talk about Bigfoot. We're going to talk about how to keep Bigfoot in your collection. So, or a tauntaun, or a unicorn, apparently. So I didn't pick the unicorn, you guys. I picked some other stuff. You'll have to tune in. But yeah, those will be fun. Those are some upcoming. Next week, we're talking to Rachel of Pet Peds and Pods about shipping, specifically for the small-time breeder or shipper, to get your animals to their destination alive and in great shape. We're not going to go over like big box, or not big box, but like big breeder type of situations. Would US Arc want a mouthy teenage? No, they wouldn't. Sorry, Menagerie. You're going to have to hold on to those two ding-dongs. Oh, Kate donated somebody's spleen. I'll probably have to stop making fun of her name. So she's donating someone's spleen. I'm out. And then we're going to talk about Sasquatch on the 1st. So guys, join us. I'm going to have Pete and Jessie's link to Bugs in Cyberspace. Well, it's bugsincyberspace.com. So I'm going to put it in the description, though. So Jessie saved me a starter set. But yeah, Russ, I had a great time. Thank you again for coming on.
Me too.
It's always a pleasure. So you're almost my co-host at this point. You've been on so many times.
I am honored, and I'll be back as many times as you'll have me. So.
Oh, all right. Well, then next week you can come on with Rachel, talk about shipping. But yeah, you'll be on soon enough. Oh, and then we're gonna do. You're coming on for one of the business features too, right?
Yep.
So we're gonna do a series. Oh, go ahead, Russ.
Oh, we're doing one in June, and we're doing one in August, right? That's what we're doing. Yeah.
Yes, that's it. June is the Star Wars, I think, and then August is the business feature. So the business feature videos we're going to do, guys, we're going to try to do them on Thursdays. I might pre-film them, and they won't be live. I haven't decided yet. So the first one's coming up on the 6th, I think, with Ryan Pavey, but of Springtails US. But we're going to, it's a 15-minute spot. We're going to promote people's small businesses. And then hopefully how this works out is that when someone Googles Aquarimax Pets, say, this video will pop up in the search, and it'll look like a 15-minute commercial, basically, so you can, or a promotional video, so they can learn about you, what you do, why you do it, what makes you different than the other people that do it, what you bring to the table. It should help. We might post some reviews, too, from people. If you know someone who's interested, let me know or let them know to reach out to me. You guys all know me at IsoBuddies on Facebook, or message me however you want. I'm Johannes Washington on Facebook. Throw me a message. I think these will be very valuable for the community. So, and this is at no cost to the people involved, to the guests. So no, nothing is asked of anyone to do these. So, but I just want to help the community and put that out there. So I think that's some fair value, right? If it shows up like a commercial.
Yeah, I would say so.
I think that's an easy time investment for somebody looking to see if they're going to buy from you. 15 minutes is not too long. But these are going to be very formulaic. So ask everybody the same questions, so we get that out there. So, well, thanks for sticking through the closing, Russ. I don't know why I didn't put you out for all this.
No
I
worries.
appreciate it. I'm so excited for all these new projects. 1/4 more person. Yes. We're gonna, what else? I'll have updates on the tanks for you guys soon too. I'm kind of pushing real hard this week. So I'm gonna have the ant tank very much done and the morning gecko tank fairly done by the time we meet again. So I love you guys. Thank you. And we will see you next week for shipping. Okay. And now the